Hey, it's Ross and Lauren from the Infectious Groove channel right here on YouTube. And I just had a video the other day where I was sharing 5 great singles from 1974. And I told you Lauren would be back to share 5 great albums from 1974. When I was looking into the singles from the year, there was so much good music that was released that year. And you have a good list of 5 great records from the year. But I like that you put the one that you put first, because absolutely no one will be shocked by this being on your list.
I know. I'm opening up my list with El Dorado by the Electric Light Orchestra, because come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's awesome. It's a fun concept album, and you know, I've talked about the album itself on the channel before, so I don't really need to belabor the point.
Yeah, well, and that's not to get clicks on our own content, but if you do have interest in like Lauren's full thoughts on the album, not only that, but the mobile fidelity pressing of El Dorado, we do have a video on that on the channel, so look that up as well. But and again, not to just go, oh well, that's a good album, but you have talked at length.
I have indeed.
Yeah, so we'll kick that off with that. The next one is one of my personal favorite voices of any decade, and I think it took a long time for the world to realize how good albums like this are. And people seem to get it now.
Yes, they do. Heart Like a Wheel, Linda Ronstadt. And, you know, I'm going to go out on a limb here and basically say this. Like, if you're going to have just one Linda Ronstadt album and it's not going to be a hits package, this is probably the one to get.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people either own her one or both of her hits packages. And she has some other fantastic records. I mean, from the Spanish language stuff, and she got opera records and all of her pop stuff. But yeah, if you were going to buy one record of hers that's not a hits package, which this is one of those albums too that's like almost reads like a hits package.
It might as well
anyways.
be.
Yeah, might as well be. Now the next one that you have is from an artist that I know fairly well, but from an artist that I don't know, and I don't think, or from an album that I don't know, because I would imagine that it got wildly overshadowed by the record that came out the following year.
Yes, I'm talking about Caribou by Elton John, and you know, this is an underrated album from him, and I think the reason why it doesn't get talked about as much as, like, you know, Yellow Brick Road, of course, is a masterpiece, and Captain Fantastic, you know, also a masterpiece, and this is kind of sandwiched in between there. It feels a little throwaway if you look at his entire discography, but if you just look at this album by itself, it's so much more than The Bitch Is Back and Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. There's some of the other tracks on it, like I have Pinky stuck in my head right now, which is a nice, it's ballad-ish on the album. And I think there's a lot of good stuff on here, and there's just a lot of fun things that I'd say, you know, check out Caribou by Elton John. It's better than you think.
You were in my thing to that too, with being a casual observer of Elton John, is if you were to say to me, oh, that Elton John album from 1974, I would have been like, no, you mean 75 and Yellow Brick Road. You know what I mean? Like I would have even forgot that this exists. So it's definitely a good pointer for people to check out. Now the next one is another one. I've talked about this type of thing on the channel before, like my space and time with music. When I was a kid, I just thought Genesis was the That's All band and Invisible Touch and so on. You know, and as you get older, you learn more about them before. Now, you and another good friend of mine really, really like like Abacab Genesis. Like, you know, now, when you say pre, most people immediately jump back to Peter Gabriel. But there's other things that Phil was on still that aren't as poppy. And this to me qualifies. Yeah,
yes, for sure. I mean, this was Peter Gabriel's last album with Genesis, right?
But I just it's Phil singing lead on the title cut, is he not?
No.
Look at me learning during this. But they're all in the band
Phil's
together.
voice is in there, and I think that's why it cuts through a lot of stuff. But yeah, this album, it's a double album, concept album, and Peter Gabriel didn't trust the concept enough, so he actually wrote the story down in the liner notes.
That's fun.
So he's like, I don't know if the songs do it, but this is what I'm talking about.
You're right.
But I think musically, I don't think that like that lineup of Genesis was ever tighter, because a lot of what you get on this album came from just jam sessions, and it's conceptual and jammy at the same time, and that's not something you get all the time. Yeah,
even, you know, for me, the mountaintop for concept albums is Pink Floyd, and to me, the more conceptual Pink Floyd got, the more of a finer point they put on it. Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Wall. Those are very like all focused on, you know, but then the more jammy stuff like Atom Heart Mother, Metal, the concepts get super loose on the record, right? And so it's good when you have a band who's like in the middle on it. Because for somebody like me, I'm not used to hearing that. It's a way one way or the other. I got so excited to hit the microphone.
You did.
Now the next one, she's an American treasure.
Sure is.
Yeah. And now this is one too, though. The title cut from this record, I don't think got anywhere near the credit it deserved until the White Stripes covered it years later. And then everybody all of a sudden in unison was like, oh yeah, you know who's great?
Yeah. Dolly Parton, her album Jolene. Of course, it's got "I Will Always Love You" and Jolene on it, but everything else is fire also. And the reason I like this album from Dolly so much is you've heard me say it on this channel so many times. This album sounds happier than it is.
Right.
You know, you've got some really dark, country lyrics with like real upbeat, like bluegrassy stuff, and I'm like, I'm here for that, Dolly. Give it to me.
Jolene is one thing, and enough has been said about the song "I Will Always Love You," but I'm going to say more. For country at the time, country was very much a male-controlled thing, and if a woman was singing, it was "Stand by Your Man" or "Woe Is Me in My Past" and so on. And if you look into what the song "I Will Always Love You" is about, and Dolly and Porter's relationship, that's a brave song. Like, that's not just a good song, that's a brave song to be putting out, especially for the time. And so I don't at all mean to sweep Jolene under the table, but if you're gonna listen to this record, just go in knowing, okay, this should be called Jolene, and then there's a whole lot of other songs you need to check out.
Absolutely. The album is so solid, and Dolly's great, I feel like. I just need to make sure I'm saying that, like, you know what I mean, if you're gonna try and be like somebody, Dolly Parton's definitely a good person to try and be like. She's awesome.
I would recommend that. So 1974 was 40 years ago now.
50.
50 years ago now.
Math is
See,
hard.
I'm that much in denial.
Yeah.
No, it was just 40 years, which is crazy. But there's so much good music that came from that year. If you're watching this video, you probably agree with a lot of what we said. You probably have tons more from that year that you'd like to share. So by all means, drop a comment below. If you're in any sort of music groups or social groups, please by all means share our videos out on there, because that helps our channel grow as well. We appreciate any likes you can throw at us on the video, because that helps us as well. The comments mean more to us than anything. But as we always say, thank you so much for watching.